I've seen a lot of games, and I have a feeling this one is going to be special.
Week 3 of the greatest team season begins in Foxborough. One of the best teams in the NFL, led by Randy Moss, battles the winless 98 Falcons. But Atlanta would have the halftime lead on this touchdown grab to Jamal Anderson. New England just couldn't manufacture much on the day, but they did pick up some big first downs here with a chance to win the game. Gaffney and Moss, and then Moss striking again a bit later, puts him well within field goal range for Stephen Gostkowski. 36-yard chip shot for the win, and the kick is no good. It hooks wide right with such horrible luck at the last moment for Gostkowski, and in improbable fashion, the 98 Falcons go into Foxborough and win the game in a slugfest, 7-6. Both these quarterbacks were on their A game in St. Louis, but we pick up the action in the fourth quarter with St. Louis leading 13-10. Farr fires his second touchdown to Brooks, but Warner has two himself. This one to Zahir Hakim, and the Rams are up a field goal, and Todd Collins strikes again late. Another pass breakup for the linebacker, and the Rams survive against the struggling Packers by 6. The AFC South is wide open after the Jaguars go into Houston and dismantle the Texans to hand them their first loss. Final play of the half here is a James Stewart 52-yard touchdown, and early in the third, Aaron Beasley would score again for Jacksonville. Both the Jags and the Texans are first at 2-1. The 2020 Buccaneers are nowhere near first place in the NFC South, but they do get into the conversation after a Week 3 home win. Here's Jamel Dean with a scoop and score of McConkey to extend the Buc lead. And the defense was fantastic throughout. And while Brady didn't play well, the defense picked up the slack in a 16-10 win. The loser of this AFC North showdown falls to 0-3 on the year, and that loser would be Cleveland in a big way. Ravens pick up the win, 17-3. The 2019 Kansas City Chiefs put on a show in Philadelphia, and it began on this big momentum swing from Damian Wilson on a pick six late in the first quarter. Then Mahomes tosses 3 touchdown passes in the second quarter, first to Williams, then to Kelsey, and the last to put it away to LaShawn McCoy. This game was over before it even got started as Kansas City humiliates the Eagles 31-13. As good as Patrick Mahomes was in Philadelphia earlier, these two quarterbacks might have both been better. First started with Joe Montana, who tosses 2 first-half touchdowns, that one to Taylor, but Cunningham comes back with some great work from Robert Smith with a touchdown himself. This one from 79 right off of the catch, 14-10 at the half. Montana strikes again in the third quarter, this one to John Taylor, and Craig all but put it away, but Cunningham scores a couple of touchdowns in garbage time in a 38-24 barn burner in Minnesota. A combined 537 yards and 7 touchdowns for the two QBs. Meanwhile, from Detroit, the passing couldn't have been any worse between the winless Redskins and the winless Lions. This pick six from Brad Edwards was the final straw for head coach Wayne Fontes. Eric Kramer has been officially benched in favor of Rodney Peete. 5 interceptions today and 10 on the year in a humiliating season for Kramer. The winless 99 Titans visit the winless 68 Jets, but this was a good football game from the Meadowlands. Don Maynard, the Hall of Famer, makes the catch and scores the go-ahead touchdown. Not for long, late in the third quarter, here's Isaac Byrd from 17. The Jets Hall of Famer Joe Namath, in the fourth quarter, he was money for New York. He puts the Jets into the red zone here. 4th and 1, they do take the ball out of his hands, and it was a bad decision. Snell is stopped, and the Titans win the game, 15-10. It seemed as though only one team was playing in the rain today, and it was the Buffalo Bills. The Saints, Drew Brees throws a couple of touchdown passes. This one to Marcus Colston to put him up 22-9. A late score makes this thing close, but Kelly is sacked on a 4th and 9. And the Saints go into Buffalo and win the game by 6. The 1985 Bears have looked like the best team in football through 2 weeks, but that would come to a close in Seattle. Jeremy Lane with another special teams touchdown puts the Seahawks on the board. And Jim McMahon, who threw 3 interceptions, has this one returned by Browner for 6. Seattle rolls against Chicago, 31-7. The 76 Raiders come in 0-2 this year, and while quarterback Ken Stabler's been pretty good with a couple of touchdowns, he hasn't been good enough to lift Oakland into the win column. He would get a boost, though, here in the first quarter on special teams as Derek LaVille coughs it up, and the kicker, Ray Guy, brings it back for a touchdown. Raiders jump out to a huge lead early, but then Stabler would throw the Broncos right back into the game. Pick six to Darian Gordon. With the Raiders set for overtime, he throws another bad pass, taken away by Torrey James, and that puts the Broncos into field goal range. But this team isn't kicking field goals, folks. Terrell Davis is scoring touchdowns for them. Another game into the century mark for Terrell Davis, who ranks second in the league now in rushing yards. The 78 Steelers go into Cincinnati to battle the 88 Bengals. Esiason struggled early, led by this pick six from the rookie Nat Terry, but the league's leading passer would come back later in the game. This deep ball from 58 to Jennings, but if that wasn't long enough, in the fourth quarter, Eddie Brown gets by the defense for 79 yards, and the Bengals have the late lead. But the quarterback of the Steelers has been so clutch this season, Terry Bradshaw, and with 10 seconds left, he would deliver again on the road. He finds the fullback for the win, Sidney Thornton, and the Steelers jump right back into the playoff picture with a 20-17 win. Bradshaw was fantastic, and the Steelers are tied for the division lead at 2-1 this year. Browns are just downright awful. The 1972 Dolphins won every game in that Super Bowl season, and they did it ugly most weeks. Larry Zonka runs in for the lead for Miami, and the defense, which was spectacular on the day, they're reeling on this drive, led by McCardell, makes a big catch with a face mask here, but they do not break in the red zone. 3rd and goal, and on 4th and goal, Rivers throws incomplete, and the Dolphins stay perfect with a 10-3 road win. Next week is a big game, though. The Dolphins play Buffalo. Two fantastic primetime football games in Week 3, and it begins on Sunday night in the desert between Hall of Famers Peyton Manning and Kurt Warner. The Cardinals' Kurt Warner would get the better of Manning early with a touchdown here and a Rodgers-Cromartie pick six. A brutal start for Indy as they go down 14-0 in the waning seconds of the first half. The Colts try to chew up some clock here with Joseph Adai. The rookie would wind up scoring on the longest run of the season for any tailback, 85 yards as the Cardinals fall asleep on defense. And then Adai makes the grab to tie the game here in the third quarter at 14. Then Warner throws his first pick of the year to Marlon Jackson. That results later on in a Adam Vinatieri field goal. He missed two, but not a third. Good from 50. And the Colts are up by a field goal. Warner, driving for the win, throws another pick to Marlon Jackson, and Indianapolis wins on the road, 17-14 Colts. Sunday Night Football was good, but Monday Night Football was the best game of the week, and the winner of this battle improves to 3-0 early in the season. The fullback leaks out of the backfield and scores from 62, that's Mike Tolbert, and the Panthers in the third quarter jump out to a 21-0 lead. The Cowboys would march back here in the third quarter, led by Novacek, and a few plays later, the Hall of Famer Emmitt Smith scores his first touchdown of the ballgame. But the big break for Dallas was on an Isiak Holt pick six from 32, and then Holt would get involved again. And the Cowboys would not disappoint as Smith caps off the following drive with this touchdown scamper to tie the game at 21. Incredible comeback. But then in the fourth quarter, Newton finds Corey Brown for 69 yards. Carolina's in front 28-21. 4th and 7, Aikman delivers in the clutch. The Cowboys driving for the tie. Panthers were flagged with nearly 100 yards and penalties. This one was big on Josh Norman. Final play of the game. Aikman needs a touchdown to tie it, but he throws a check down to Richards, and the Panthers win the game. You'd like to see Aikman throw to the end zone there. Richards celebrates, but Carolina wins and are first place in the competitive NFC South. There are two undefeated teams left. That's all in the AFC. 1972 Miami joins the 2019 Chiefs, and the Dolphins have a big division bout against Buffalo next week. Two undefeated teams in the NFC, the 15 Panthers and the 99 Rams. Carolina has a bye next week. They'll play Washington in Week 5. The league's leading passer has been Boomer Esiason. Great performance for him early. Peyton leads the league in rushing, and Eddie Brown is the league's leading receiver. Extra Point shows coming up next. We have a special Red Zone presentation on Thursday.